do this broadcast in Romanian for the Romanian viewers. But lately, we are kind of a global star as a country. People are talking about us, not always knowing who we are, how we got here, what's happening with Romania. We're a country in Eastern Europe, and we believe we're still a democracy. But Mario Nawfal and Elon Musk and a lot of other neocons from Moscow to Washington, they believe we're not. They're pushing this theory all over the place that Romania is a dictatorship because we have decided to ban one candidate for the presidential race, Mr. Georgescu. He's the darling of all the neocons in Washington and Moscow at the same time. Funny enough. And with two of us tonight. The other guy is Sebastian. Hi, Sebastian.
Hi there, and thank you for having me on your program, Jim.
Thank you. Sebastian is a political analyst, and he's going to talk a little bit better than I can about what Romania is, whether we're a democracy or not, how we got here, and what can you, the world, expect from us. So, Sebastian, first of all, have we given up on democracy yet?
No, we haven't. On the contrary, I think what has happened during the couple of weeks, and especially since November, it's the proof itself that our still fragile democracy is getting better and better because, like any solid democracy, we have rules, and democracy functions upon those rules. And when those rules are infringed, well, we set them back. That's what Romania did with the Constitutional Court in December, and that's what we did a couple of days ago by banning a candidate who stands for everything against democracy itself.
So what did that guy did wrong?
So Mr. Georgescu,
yeah,
you mean?
That's the guy, yeah.
Where to start? He did everything.
Where you want.
If you ask me. So let's just start with the basics. And now I'm going to refer to what the judges of the Constitutional Court actually wrote as a legal ground for their decision. And they interpreted it in a very funny way, but also very sane way. Saying it, just a second.
Right. Okay. This is Romanians doing live broadcasts. Sometimes we have hiccups, but we mend them. We're not the most precise nation on earth, and we're not really. We take it with a little bit more poetic flair. We take everything with that. So, what did this guy do wrong, Mr. Georgescu?
So let's start with the basics.
Yep. Yes, please.
The Constitutional Court said that even a candidate running for the presidential position, he has to behave as if he's a president in terms of democratic rules and norms. And this is where Mr. Georgescu has completely failed. Let's just start with the basic. Mr. Georgescu wants to forbid private property. Basically, take us back to the Soviet Union. First. Secondly, he said in his program, and this is public, these are facts, it's not my opinion, he wants to ban all political parties. Again, this is against the very essence of democracy, pluralism. Also, he said all kind of crazy statements. For example, one of them in one of his speech a couple of weeks ago, he said something along the lines, if Russia wins in Ukraine and Ukraine is disbanded, that Romania should take some of the territories up south of Ukraine, north of Romania, Bukovina, as we said. These are things that are completely anti-constitutional, according to not only international law, but according to our
Yes, but all of them are popular. And, taking the money from the rich, distributing to the poor guys, that's popular. Taking other people's territory, that's popular. Look at Greenland. Look at whatever Trump wants to do with Canada, and banning political parties. People are fed up with political parties and bickering and feuds and whatnot. So he struck a chord with the Romanian people. He was there talking to their absolute inner needs. They won that. And that's why they voted for him. Now, is a democracy wrong to ban that kind of person with that kind of program from running? Or we should just let him run with the risk of that maybe he terminates the democracy?
To my eyes, we shouldn't let democracy kill democracy itself. Basically, this is what we're talking about, right? Leave some crazy nuts doing all of this stuff just because it's fashionable and because some people are fed up. And indeed, and to come back to your initial question, what happened in Romania also in the couple of the past months is also it means the total collapse of the traditional political parties in Romania. So people are so fed up with how our traditional parties have behaved so far that they were ready to jump in the arms of a crazy nuts guy. I mean, yeah, some things might be fashionable or not, but I can bet that if you talk to any ordinary Romanian, you're telling him, listen, if this guy gets to be president, he wants you to no longer have private property. That means your house, your car, your everything, basically going back to communism. Or if you're telling most of the Romanians,
well, yeah, most of Romanians, well, not most of them, but some of them do go back and revisit those times with a little bit of a pleasure, because some of them were young at the time and they kind of have good memories, fond memories about communism. Second, some of them will ask, well, what's wrong? Most of these people that got rich during the last 35 years, they got rich because they stole money from the state or from us. Maybe we should repossess that. Again, that's why this guy is or was popular.
It's true. It's true. So if Russian interference is a fact, and it was a massive interference, there's also some sort of a cocktail of grievances. It wasn't just that, because that wouldn't have been possible with other ingredients, like what you just said. People are just fed up. And this is sort of paradoxical because Romania right now finds itself in the best position that we have ever been throughout our history. Let's be honest with ourselves.
Yeah, we are.
If in 2000 our GDP was 30 billions, and now we are close to 400 billions. And well, again, I didn't grow up in communism, in criminal.
Well, I did. I can tell you stories. I can tell you stories, and I can tell our international audience stories. Romania was a grave of hopes, really. This was where hope went to die during communism times in the Eastern Bloc. We were the most unhappy of all of them. Not even Bulgaria was that bad, because we had not just poverty, not just moral turpitude. We had a cult of personality of Nicolae Ceausescu, our dictator. By the way, he got shot.
To be honest, I think but there are very few Romanians who really want to go back to those times. Maybe
this is something I believed at some point, that they don't want to go back. But recently, since you were talking about Russian propaganda, most of the messages of the Russian propaganda in Eastern European countries, let me be honest about that, they're not about you should love Russia. There's nothing about Russia in Russian propaganda. And that's why Americans got fooled by it. That's why Romanians got fooled by it. In Romania, Russian propaganda said a few things along the lines of, you were a great nation once. Remember when? When you were under communist times and friends with the other socialist countries. And things were so great at the time because everyone was equal and we were masters of our own destiny and we owned the oil and the land and everything. And by the way, remember who was the boss? Yeah, it was us, Russia. But they never say that, They want to take us back to those times. and they want to use nostalgia that most people have for the younger ones in order to promote a political message. And Mr. Georgescu, he was a master of that. Now, again, I'm going back to this. Most commentators on the right, MAGA commentators and
Yeah.
nationalist commentators across the West are saying, well, these are not crimes, these are views, and being friends with Russia is not a crime anymore because Russia is not a dictatorship or what not. We beg to differ. How
A
do we
lot.
convince these guys that we did the right thing by banning the pro-Russian candidate when some of those countries might have actually elected him?
If you ask me, I think we should stick to the facts. I mean, Romanian institutions, politicians, pretty much a lot of them have completely failed to really speak with the ordinary Romanian citizen,
Yeah.
from smallest village to the urban cities. I think if we talk to them and if we engage in dialogue, why did people were so jumped into the arms of this guy, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
if you listen to him, there's nothing but nonsense coming out of his mouth. Again, he has a nice shirt, a nice tie, and he has this voice that looks like he's saying something interesting. Again, he's not. This guy says only crazy stuff. So
Yeah, but
one of
again, having a nice tie is not grounds for, banning him from running
no,
for
no, it's not.
office, you know?
Of course, of course.
So again, if Mario is listening in, tuning in, or Mr. Musk,
Yeah.
I am not that arrogant to believe that such a thing is possible. But again, if somebody that is in the West, in a political position of power, and we are not on the same page with them, what are our arguments, Romania's arguments for banning this guy from running for office? Because these guys, they look at him and they see somebody like them, nationalist, conservative, very aggressively pro-Russian, very good friends with all the other nationalists in Europe and America. Do we have a clear reason for banning him for running for office?
For me, yes, absolutely.
What
So
do you think
again,
is the most important one?
the most important one, I would
Yeah.
say, we just need to respect the law, the criminal law that we have in Romania and our constitution, and that is enough reason, legal ground to ban Mr. Georgescu, and it is exactly what happened. It is not, again, it is not anti-democratic to ban a candidate who fully and transparently and publicly supports a fascism in all its shapes and forms. It is not anti-democratic to ban a candidate who has the full backing of Russia with throughout interference. It is not anti-democratic to ban somebody who
What's
makes
wrong with
statements
Russia? They
that are
will ask.
against
What's
the
wrong
Constitution.
with Russia? We're friends with Russia. Well, not us, but some people in the West are, or beginning to feel like being friends with
And
them.
again,
What's wrong with
because
Russia?
Romania,
For Eastern European countries, what's wrong with being closer to Russia than to America or Europe, let's say?
well, I think we've been close to Russia and we've seen what that gave us, right?
Yeah, but they
Poverty,
don't know. These guys
poverty.
that are tuning in, they're not Romanians. They have no clue about our history. They have no idea what good Russia did to us.
Yeah, but maybe they should read the book before doing the
Nah,
podcast.
you're old school with books,
I am.
Come on, books.
No, but Jan,
What's wrong with you? Books.
let me come back to
TikTok. That's the book.
let me
Okay.
come back to what I was saying, because we all heard Vice President Vance in Munich Security Conference addressing the crowd as if the crowd was a mega crowd, except it wasn't. Addressing it and saying that democracy, freedom of speech, and he talked about Romania. But these are all
Yeah.
bullshit. I'm sorry to put it that way. In Romania today, and we have witnessed these past couple of months and weeks, our most extreme candidates, like Mr. Shwaka, for example, or even this crazy guy, Mr. Georgescu, he has the full liberty of freedom of expression. He went on TV pretty much every few days, on TV, on national TV.
No, no,
He
you're
has
wrong here.
social accounts.
Not every few days, daily. It was there
Okay, what
daily.
today? Like,
You're not.
what he did.
You live in Poland. I live in Romania. He was daily on TV. Okay,
But then,
Mr.
he's
Judges,
not alone.
and he
He
can
and
still be
all of
daily on TV. But now, let's. We should tell these guys. We should tell the Americans watching us that a few friends of Mr. Georgescu were arrested 2 or 3 weeks back. And some of them were mercenaries fighting in Africa, came back home from Africa with a little bit of money, also with some machine guns. Yeah, the not very nice machine guns, you know, the
a
ones
full
that
arsenal
actually
of
work.
weapons.
Okay, not props. And we have recordings of them planning something that suspiciously looked like a coup d'etat.
Well, it's very much a coup d'etat
Yeah.
if our authorities would have let them happen. So what happened is one of the very closest friends of Mr. Georgescu, a guy who is also a mercenary somewhere in Congo in Africa, the guy who was putting at his disposal cars for years. The same guy was giving him $10,000 to $20,000 cash every month. At the same guy at home, when the police started investigation and they went on and checked his house and some of his friends, they found millions of dollars in cash, not to mention a full arsenal of weapons, grenades, all of that, and 27 kilograms of gold. So imagine it only takes a few grenades in center of Bucharest to create that kind of chaos that could lead to a potential coup d'etat. And this was probably the plan. And I'm
Yeah,
really
but
glad.
remember what Mr. Vance said, and he had a point there. If your democracy is that weak, that a few couple $100,000 spent on TikTok or whatever, wherever, could ruin it, could destroy it, could derail it, or if your democracy is so weak that, you know, a few guns could actually take over it, then your democracy is not strong enough. And he might be right here. He might be right. Our democracy doesn't look very strong right now.
Yeah.
That we had to ban a candidate who was really, he was proposing a lots of outrageous stuff. But people still wanted to vote for him. When people want to vote for outrageous stuff, for crazy stuff, for stuff that actually destroys democracy, that means you don't have a strong democracy. That means people do not have democracy in their hearts or in their minds. And this is something that I'm pleading guilty to be honest.
And you should, as should I, as we all should. Again, Lucian, we are still very fragile democracy. We have 30-something years since the fall of the criminal communist regime. Which country in this world after 30 years is a fully fledged, functional, solid, enhanced democracy? Can you tell me? Not really.
America was 37 years after the Declaration of Independence.
Yes,
they still had slavery at the time, but they were a fully functioning democracy without some people's votes. Yes.
Yes, but America didn't have how many 50-something years of communism, of brutal repression of consent, right? Because this is what communists did to ourselves. It sort of, you know, it ruined our mental and our soul to some extent. And now getting back to that pre-period, it takes a lot of time because it's about changing mentalities. It's about changing, and this comes with generations. And it's, I mean, to my eyes, it's only normal that we have a still fragile democracy. We are still in the transitioning period. We are doing well more and more. And I mean, these past couple of weeks have shown that our still very fragile democracy, well, it's getting a bit solid. And I'm really happy about that. But let's not forget the facts. I mean, you cannot expect us to be Switzerland or France. It's just not happening.
Yeah. Recently, I saw an article in one of the conservative voices, conservative newspapers in America, that was advocating about letting Romania loose, cut the ties with Romania. And it was a clear message to the Trump administration that they should,
Yeah.
get rid of us, militarily speaking. What do you think we can do to convince the Trump administration that we're still solid allies, and second, that we're still democracy, while not having a conservative or an extreme conservative in power?
Well, with the current administration, nothing is sure. I'm not sure how can we convince them, if they even want to be convinced, or even they care about. I don't think they care. Mr. Vance, he doesn't care about Romania. Donald Trump doesn't care about Romania. And those comments at Munich Security Forum and some other, they were made to undermine the European Union. Let's not forget what we're talking about right now. The Trump administration's main objective right now is to undermine and to destroy the European Union. These comments, they are coming in this regard. This is the framework that we're talking about. Also, let's go back a little bit. I mean, after the criminal communist regime fell, United States, our best friend and ally, they have tried for years and years to teach us democracy through programs, through even, those Soros programs that were very good, let me say, even for those USAID money. And so they invested a lot in our judiciary, to have an independent judiciary, to have a rule of law.
Yeah, they did. By the way, most of those programs would have been canceled by now, because the Trump administration and DOJ actually canceled a lot of programs that were supposed to project democracy as America used to stand for to other countries, like Voice of America, National Endowment for Democracy, and other various scholarship programs, and so on.
So if we had 30-something years of U.S. administration, be it Republican or Democrats, again, Republicans were always better for us because they cared more about Eastern Europe. Anyway,
yeah, that's why we're a bit surprised to see Republicans doing this to Romania, to be honest. I mean, I'm a Reagan Republican. I mean, I was watching Trump with a painting of Ronald Reagan behind him, and I clearly remember, because I have the right age, I remember when Ronald Reagan and Maggie Thatcher, all together, both of them, managed to win the Cold War and release the countries of Eastern Europe from Russian oppression. What was so good with Russian oppression that they want us to go back to it? This is my question now, and I'm really saddened that I can't answer that, really. Because Russian oppression is still there. It hasn't gone anywhere, okay? Even though it's not called Soviet Russia nowadays, but it's still the same old Russia that we used to know from the Cold War times.
Indeed. You are not alone, Lucian, to be saddened, but the messages and what we see coming out of the White House. Let me just be very very honest with you. The current administration is no Republican or nothing. They don't really have an ideology other than, everything is woke. I mean, for this administration, even progress, it's woke. And progress, well, it's not woke. Some things went a bit too far, especially on the left side.
Both of us are Reagan Republicans. Are we now woke because we want to keep Russia out of Europe?
Absolutely not. That's absolutely not.
I don't think we are. No, okay.
This administration.
But now, what some people in positions of power in Romania are telling me this. Listen, we want to get at least decent with the Americans right now, and we shouldn't say anything. Well, some things we can say, but we shouldn't be that nasty in our comments to them. We should try to protect their feelings.
Yeah. Well,
I don't think we did a good job tonight with that.
No, but we are not in power, so we have the liberty of saying whatever we want.
But I'm trying to get through to these guys. I'm trying to get through to Americans, ordinary Americans, and to make them understand that in Eastern Europe, you had and still have allies, people
Of course.
who respect and love America as America was presented to us, land of the freedom, home of the brave, and so on. And we kind of already miss that America.
I wouldn't confound. I wouldn't say the Trump administration speaks for the whole of America or for the American people. To be honest, although he won with the popular votes and
Yeah.
everything, I've seen a lot of comments in the American press these weeks, these days. They are not happy with if 70, 80 something years, every single administration told the American people that Europeans are our friends and we are their best friends. And Russia, North Korea, and Iran, these are the enemies. Right now, Donald Trump sort of tries to switch to tell the American people Russians are our friends. And Europeans are eating us alive, the tariffs, I mean, the whole madness. And to be honest with you, from what I've seen in the American press, and I've been following this very closely, none of them are really happy about this. So I would
Well,
expect
Republicans
more and more
clearly are.
opposition.
We don't see any kind of opposition from the Republican Party, and also we don't see any kind of strong position from the figures, the important figures of the Democratic Party. I mean, what did Obama say lately?
Nothing.
Nothing,
Nothing.
right? Okay.
And not just Obama. I mean, there's a bunch of people
Yeah,
who are
well,
pretty
others,
important,
yeah,
who haven't
Democrats.
really taken any position. From what I understand, they are still waiting a month or two for Trump to do so many crazy stuff, and then to create a common front and sort of start some form of opposition,
Oh, I
which is
see.
a bad
I
bad
see.
choice
So
because in a
you're
couple of
waiting
weeks,
for your house to half burn down, and
there you
then
go.
okay, that's
That's
crazy.
really stupid if you ask me.
Right, right.
Look at
Even
this.
a
Look at
Romanian knows that's not a good idea. But hey, who am I? I'm in Eastern Europe. Who know? What do I know?
exactly.
What do I know?
And
Yeah.
more than this, Lucian, Romania is it's well, the times and the timing has made that Romania found itself in the middle of all of this battle between woke and not woke, democracy, far right. But let's put Romania aside for a second. I mean, if you look at the Trump administration, the messages that are coming out of there. I mean, just take Canada for example. Take Denmark. I mean, Denmark. The United States has never had a better ally than Denmark. And look the language they use. Look the language they use towards France, Germany, and the entire European Union. 2 weeks ago, the same language towards Japan. I mean, the idea of this new Trump administration, this is complete madness, is to be nice with all the enemies and be really hard and really rushed with all the allies. And also in the past 3 weeks, I mean, the damage that has been done to the US reputation, it will take decades and billions of dollars to repair that. And it's just absolutely nuts.
All right. So, guys, I hope you got our message. And our message is very simple. Romania is not a dictatorship. We are a democracy trying to protect itself from Russian propaganda, Russian influence, Russian infiltration, more or less. And we had to resort to difficult measures. Measures that are, yes, hard to understand in other parts of the world. They're hard to understand for us too. And I think we both regret that we cannot have fair elections with all this interference, with all this propaganda. We can't stop propaganda, but we can stop its consequences. And I think this is what Romania did. Maybe Romania is wrong. Maybe Donald Trump is right. I don't know. But I'm rooting for my country. I'm sorry about that, Donald.
If I may, just for a second.
Yeah.
If you're watching this and you are worried of what has happened in Romania in the past couple of weeks, and you really are, and to be honest with you, you should be. As a Romanian, I am worried about what happened in Romania. Canceling, nuking a presidential election, it's no small thing. It's a big deal. It's the essence of the democratic process to cast your ballot, and we just cancel that. It's a bad thing. But again, if you are a member of this beautiful European Union or watching from overseas, from the United States, you have to understand, and you know this very well because you're also functioning as a democracy with a constitution, with laws, with criminal law, and all of that. In a democracy, we have laws, and if you infringe those laws, well, we have to make them to respect them. That's why we have codes. That's why we have criminal law. That's why we have constitution. Mr. Georgescu many times over has infringed all of those laws. So the constitutional court decision to ban him or to cancel the election were just doing that, respecting that constitution that we wrote and that you, our friends, you supported us. So it is not a great thing what happened. It's like cancer and that treatment that it's horrible and it's risky and it hurts and it's bad. But if you're not doing it, you're dying. This is what we did in Romania. We chose the least democratic method to salvage our democracy.
Thank you. Thank you, Sebastian. And a message for our Romanian friends. Please distribute to your American and European counterparts, your American and European friends. And people you know might share this message until it reaches the intended target. We're trying to get through to Americans who believe Romania is not a democracy. We beg to differ. We stand by our country, and I hope they understand us. Thank you.
Thank you, Lucian, for having me on your program again.
Thank you.